What is up, guys? So I had just released my new Berserker program, or the updated version of my Berserker program, and it is everything here that I'm talking about here today in the video. It is the updated version, which just only consists of the 3-day routine and the 2-day routine. Everything that I've been using here recently throughout the last year or so. Now, what I want to talk to you guys today is still about HIIT training, and if you guys are doing any HIIT training, or if you guys are still on high volume. So anytime I talk to anyone and they're asking me questions specifically about like what I do, what my routine's like, they always ask like, okay, how many days a week do you work on? I was, say 3 on average. I've been doing my 2-day routine, which is excellent, but I'll say 3. Now, I used to train 4 days a week. I just found that when I'm doing 4 days a week routine, that is really hard on recovery, especially when you're going one set to failure. So if I set it up where I did chest, triceps, back and biceps, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday would be a break, Thursday is leg day, Friday shoulders, it was just really hard on recovery for me because although I'm only doing 4 to 5 exercises, one set to failure each, it was still demanding on the central nervous system. Because if you're going high intensity all out to failure every single day of your training, it can't be frequently. The number one thing, it has to be infrequent training with high intensity training. So I then switched it down to 3 days a week, and of course, recovery and results automatically improved. So, most of the people that when they come in my DMs, they're like, hey, what do you do? I normally ask them off the bat, well, what do you do? And it's always a response, well, I work out 5 to 6 days a week. I have this style of training. I do, what is it? I do like a bodybuilding split. I'm training push, pull, legs, whatever. They just give me the whole routine, whatever it is. It's usually all the same material. So the issue with that is when you guys are training high volume, you might even have it planned out where it's like West Side Barbell style, where it's 4 days a week, upper, lower, max effort day. If you even do the 1 rep max, you might just be doing like a 3 or 5 rep max on that day. And then you might do a volume day on your 2 other days, or you might have it like the classic push, pull, legs, 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off type of setup. The issue with that is, if you're thinking logically, you only have one central nervous system. So when you guys are training, you're training hard, on your push, pull, legs 6-day routine, 3 of those days you're going hard, heavier, and then the other days is a lighter volume, but you still only have the same central nervous system. Even if you guys aren't training the same muscle groups back to back, that does not mean that your recovery isn't going to get, like, what do you say, affected. So, and this is coming from a guy who used to train high volume, man. I did all the programs. I did all what I just said. It's funny because if you look at the track record of, or the data throughout all of the years when I'm training, it's less is more. It's just, it kind of trends downward. On the volume side, intensity is raised, obviously, and my physique is improved. I look at my physique when I was doing super high volume. I didn't even know I was overtraining, and it kind of looked flat. Didn't really have as much muscle. Well, I definitely know I didn't have as much muscle. Performance was not there. Strength was not there. I would start to get overtrained within a couple weeks. Didn't really know that. Thought I was just tired. Thought it was just sleep. Sleep was still great. And then, you'd hit such a hard plateau, hard wall. And that is the issue with a lot of your guys' programming out there, is there's a fear. You guys are trepidatious because you feel, okay, once I start doing a low volume approach, that I'm going to lose all the gains that I previously made. How am I going to start to see improvements? I'm only doing 1 set per exercise. How is that going to have any sort of result? And you guys are thinking that your workouts are going to be the same intensity as you previously did compared to what your guys are going to be doing now. When you're on my Berserker program, when you purchase that and it hits, you hit the download and you see it and you open it up and you're like, 1 set of bicep curls per week. Okay, the chest maybe gets like 2 sets per week. Like, this is nothing that I just made up randomly just to, be a trailblazer and be different from the industry. This is exactly what I run. I have absolute faith. This is exactly what I run, and I've gotten results all from this specifically. So when I say I only do one set of bicep curls per week, I literally only do one set of bicep curls per week, and that's what is giving me the best results. Now, in my previous videos, like from a year ago or so, I would do 2 sets, and then I realized it was not giving me more of a benefit, and I took that out, and then I saw more result from just doing what I was doing. It's way more strength gain off the bat, because you have to start to think logically, and you can't think so small-minded when it comes to fitness, because I didn't put any faith in the big compound movements when I first started working out. I knew that they absolutely worked, but I didn't put as much faith in them as I should, because a big compound movement like a close grip bench is going to do what? It's going to blast the chest. The triceps are going to get worked heavy in the front delts. Same thing for weighted dips. That is one of the best movements you could possibly do for your upper body. And it can completely replace the bench press if you wanted to. Absolutely can. Or it could just be used as an accessory to help. And then, if I'm thinking about weighted chin-ups, is it great for the lats? Of course. What else does it hit? Actually hits the biceps pretty hard and the rear delts. So when you start to really break down the lifts, like deadlifts and all the other benefits like that, don't overlook the power of your guys' compound movements, because this is what's going to help drive the most muscle growth. It's not going to be a tricep kickback that's going to really take your triceps to the next level. No, it's going to be you get stronger at your dips, you get stronger at your close grip bench, variations like that. That's what's actually going to help your triceps grow. And I didn't put as much emphasis in that when I was younger. Now that I'm a little bit older, I am, and results have drastically improved. You know what it is, sipping on that black coffee. So another thing to note is when you guys are training with high intensity, it has to be, and I know this sounds pretty basic, it has to be high intensity. This does not mean you train, you hit the rep, and it's like, okay, that felt a little hard, let me rack it. Best case scenario is you guys have a training partner that you can go to the gym with, and they can spot you. You can do things like rest pause training, force reps, lengthen partials. Those are all great, but you don't want to overdo it too many times in that single session. I would probably save that type of training for a muscle group that you're really trying to bring up, like a weak point, and then carry on. Because if I'm doing lengthen partials and then rest pause training, specifically rest pause training in supersetting, everything that's going to be more detrimental to your progress than it is a positive if you do this for every single lift. If you just leave it for one lift, that's perfectly fine. But training 3 days a week, the reason why it's such a benefit is because since you're a natural lifter, this is gear for the natural lifter. And even for someone who's on gear, I mean, shoot, if you're on gear, this would be even more incredible, technically, is because your recovery is so much more improved. We are not growing in the gym, we're breaking down in the gym. Outside of that area is where we grow. Your sleep comes into play, your diet comes into play, but more importantly, you have to give yourself a rest. You cannot be training frequently with high intensity. It has to be infrequent, it has to be sparse, it has to be intense. And one of the biggest things for HIIT training is you cannot train long and hard at the same time. It has to be, okay, you're going to be training really hard, but the duration of the workout also has to drop, as well as the volume has to drop. And I used to work out literally 8 to 10 exercises in a given workout. I'd be training hard, so I thought, 3 sets pyramiding up in weight. And I was like, man, why am I not growing? Why am I not getting stronger like I should be? And it went from me working out 6 days a week, then to 5 days a week. And every single time I had a pivotal moment in my lifting career, if you want to say, it was always like I was talking with my brother, man, I want to get better recovery. I see there's other people who look better than me, who work out less. What should I do here? I'm working out 6 days a week. He's like, well, just try 5 days. I was like, all right. I tried 5 days a week. And I was like, okay, the extra day of recovery definitely does help. But I was like, man, maybe could I take this a step further? And then I really planned and programmed kind of got into Westside Barbell style. I saw they only worked out 4 days a week. I was like, well, listen, these guys are way stronger than me. It makes sense from a recovery standpoint, upper day, lower day. And I was like, okay, I can work this. Did that style of training. Recovery was better, but I was still doing way too much volume. And it wasn't until, fast forward a couple years up until 2 years ago, essentially, that I started doing high intensity training to failure, and literally 4 to 5 exercises in a workout, 2 to 3 times a week. And then my results started to really skyrocket, started to really take my progress to the next level. And if you guys see like how I was a couple years ago when I was pumped up versus right now when I'm just relaxed, it looks like I have that pumped up physique. Isn't it kind of weird? Like when you're working out, and let's say you're working out, you get a bicep pump, you get a pump, you're like, man, I can't wait to look like this when I'm just no pump, wake up in the morning. And then you get to that point. That was me literally with high intensity training, because a couple years ago, I'd look in the mirror pumped. I was like, man, I can't wait till I look like this at least. You're not going to look full. You'll have the size. And then I got to that point, and that's all from high intensity training. You know, just having that belief and that trust, like, okay, if I'm taking this to failure and my muscles are sore the next day, that means you did damage, good damage. And then you have to recover from it. Once again, I can't drill this, I can't drill this any more than I possibly already did, but your central nervous system needs that time to recover, man. You cannot be training this hard and training, 5, 6 times a week. I did with 4, and 4 was not the answer. 3 max. And 2-day program is excellent, man, because on my 2-day routine, it's still just hitting the major muscle groups. That's what's going to help. Don't be worrying about like, oh, well, I have to hit my lat at this angle. I have to hit my chest at this angle with a certain, scientific range of motion, blah, 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 with this and that. It's like, you guys break it down so much, but you don't realize that, one, you don't even have a chest in the first place. You don't have lats in the first place. You don't have big quads in the first place, so don't be worrying about all the little angles and maneuvers and tricks you guys could be using that you see on TikTok and Instagram. Just worry about getting big quads first. Worry about getting big lats first. Worry about getting strong in the big compounds first. And then everything else fills in. Is beautiful when you're like, you know what? To get a big back, pull up variation or pull down if you guys want to substitute. Row variation. And that's pretty much it. And then with your deadlifts, is going to hit the entire backside. And I promise you, you get strong at that, you're not going to have a weak back. You're not going to have a weak looking back. Your back is not going to be small. You get strong at that. You just get strong at an incline bench press. You get strong at weighted dips with slow negatives though. That's when you're going to see the size, because I'm not talking about when you're working out, go down, boom, fast rapid touch and go. I'm talking 3-second negative, slight pause on the bottom, explode up. 3-second negative, have a partner there with you. It's a spot if you can, explode up. That 3-second negative really helped transform my physique when training this style, because if I do a 3-second negative and I pause on the bottom of the rep, let's say I do a second pause, what's going to get me stronger? Getting stronger at a touch and go or getting stronger at a paused bench? It's going to be the paused bench. So if you get stronger at what's called these self-limiting variations, that's what's going to help muscle growth. That's what's going to help you get stronger at these other main variations that you do. An example of what I wrote in my Berserker program is, if you get strong at, let's say, a Larson press, which is a bench press where your feet are just straight out, you're using no leg drive. You get strong at that for a while. Then you do a close grip Larson press. Then you do a close grip paused Larson press. And then after a while, you do a close grip paused Larson press with bands on it if you want to do that for specific. It's very specific for bands. If you guys are just training for hypertrophy, you won't necessarily need that. But the goal is, if you get strong at all these self-limiting variations, then that's going to dramatically increase your guys' strength and your muscle size once you go back to the main variation. So once you go back to like a regular bench press after a couple weeks, month of doing that Larson press style, what I just said, I mean, your strength's going to absolutely explode. So I cannot wait to see, hold on here. I cannot wait to see all the results that you guys get from the Berserker program. I put so much into this. It's everything that I use. It's literally everything that my fitness is. Every single thing that I put in is everything I've already tested and used, man. It's already been put through that whole trial period. Anytime you guys got questions for it, DM me, let me know. And I'm here 24/7 for you guys. I want to help as many people as I can get the results faster than what I did when I was younger, because there was a lot of, I don't want to necessarily call them wasted years, because it's learning years. You just learn throughout the whole time. And just because you did things wrong for a couple years in a row does not mean that you lost your noob gains, because your noob gains only matter, or they can only be created when you're training properly. So just keep that in mind. If you guys are working out for years and you haven't seen results, that does not mean that you've automatically lost the right to your noob gains. Those are still definitely in the tank. As long as you're training correctly, you can absolutely get that still. So, but another point I want to bring up before I end the video is, if you guys look at the program for what is missing rather than what is there, then you've already missed the point of why you train high intensity. It's to have the minimum amount of volume for the maximum result. That's the sole purpose of the program. It is not to shovel down all this volume and things that you cannot handle. It's to stimulate. That's all it is. I'm not trying to create a bigger inroad to your recovery. It's just literally using, when I say the minimal amount of volume, I'm trying to give you the minimum amount of dose right here, because your muscles don't necessarily need to get completely shell-shocked in order to grow. They just need to get that growth signal, and once that is there and then received, growth can take place as long as your guys' recovery is proper, as long as you guys are still doing progressive overload, getting good sleep, and you're getting sufficient nutrition. That is the main goal. And everything that I'm saying to you guys to correct is stuff that I've done. I'm just trying to save you guys time. So once again, let me know, man, if you guys need any help. If you guys are interested in the program, click the link in the bio for my Berserker program, for my 2-day, 3-day routine. It is a 50-page ebook that includes the main program, nutritional protocol, recovery manual, bonus programs, and more. So I will see you guys next video. Peace.